Hey friends, welcome or welcome back. My name is Kim. This is Kim Reads and Reviews, and this is the Spring is in the Air book tag. Caitlin over at Spill the Reads had tagged me to do this, so thank you so much for tagging me. I'm excited to talk about a couple of books that I picked. I tend to honestly have a little bit darker taste in book, but for this tag, I tried to find some of my lighter, fresher reads, I suppose, ones that are appropriate for spring. First prompt is Spring Chicks. Name a book that made you feel warm and fuzzy. Now, there is one book that I would be so sorry and wrong, straight to jail if I didn't mention it. And that is Heartstopper by Alice Osman. I've only read the first book in the Heartstopper series, but I just remember finishing this book and feeling like very warm and fuzzy inside. It's very sweet, very reminiscent of like puppy love. It kind of gives that feeling. So within this one, we have Charlie. He is openly gay. And then there is Nick. He is a rugby player. They're both in high school. Charlie has a bit of a crush on Nick, and the story just kind of develops in that way. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like everybody kind of knows what Heartstopper is about, but indeed, all the great things that everybody says about Heartstopper is true. I definitely felt very warm and fuzzy inside after reading it. April Showers, a book that is set near, in, or on the water, or that has the word water in the title. Now, I chose for this book a book that was near water within it, and that is A Year in the Woods by Timorn Eklund. This is 12 Small Journeys into, oh, sorry, the lighting. Here, let me fix that. You guys are probably like, what book are you holding? A Year in the Woods by Timorn Eklund, 12 Small Journeys into Nature. Now, this is a nonfiction, and this is about Timorn's efforts and attempts to be more connected with nature. So he has a family, he works as most adults do, and he has dedicated one night a month to being in the woods. So for every single month of the year, one night in the woods. And he goes back to the same spot to camp out for the night, and it's by a lake. And basically he chooses the same spot to see the changes in nature as the seasons change. And it's very, I don't know, I just absolutely loved it. I remember picking this up in mountain town that I live near because I also, especially the last few years, have been trying to make a conscious effort to make sure I spend more time in nature, connecting with earth, touching grass, as they say. And yeah, this was just, it was very good. There were some months that really went into, specifically that I remember in here, that really went into like fly fishing, which just like super went way over my head. But overall, really enjoyed the sentiment of what the book was about. And I remember underlining quite a few sentences and portions within here, and just his reflections on being in nature and appreciating nature. And yeah, definitely enjoyed this for sure. Spring break. Talk about a time you took a break from reading and why. I don't think that there's ever really been a time where I've taken like unintentional, like I'm not reading right now kind of break. I think that there have been different moments in time where reading was just simply not a priority in my spare time. I try to read every day before work, in the evening before going to bed, or even a little bit after I finish work. And there's definitely been times where it just never happened. One of those times being last year when my fiance and I were traveling around Europe for a little bit. Obviously we were busy exploring, meeting people, and eating good food, drinking good wine, and, doing all the things that tourists do. And so, yeah, reading was simply not something that I was consciously making an effort to do every single day, but obviously there were some travel time between where I was able to get a little bit of reading done. I think I read 3 books while I was traveling. One of them being the last one, I think by Wildine, whatever the title. I know I didn't get that title right. The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston, and then a Claire Keegan book, Small Things Like These, I think was the name of it. So yeah, managed to read those, but it definitely was not a priority at the time. Swallow's Homecoming, a book or an author you always go back to for comfort. Let's be so for real. I have to clip you here because an author I always go back to for comfort is Abby Jimenez. I mean, are we surprised? Last year, I reread Part of Your World and enjoyed that process. I have yet to reread all of these books. I think that there's just something about the way that she crafts her stories that are just like really comfortable for me and just like wholesome and very sweet. So yeah, that's definitely, I trust Abby Jimenez. I don't know about her most recent release. I'm not hearing great things about it. But I will read it and develop my own opinion on it. But yes, I haven't read all of her books, but these ones are all the ones that I have read and I've enjoyed every single one. So the next prompt is Blooms, a book that started slowly but blossomed to be one of your favorite reads. I got 2 books for this prompt. Again, I was trying to think about spring or lighter books a little bit, potentially. One of those being Writers and Lovers by Lily King. Oh, you guys can kind of see that. Yeah, Writers and Lovers by Lily King. I think it's categorized as romance. I don't think that's totally accurate. I'd say romance is like a subplot within here, but really the main focus is following along with the female main character. I don't remember her name currently, but she's just trying to figure out her life. She's currently working as a waitress. I believe she has like an estranged relationship with her mother, I think. Oh, sorry. Her mother had passed away. Oh, sorry. I read this a couple of years ago. I have yet to reread it. It is on my list to reread, as are all the books that I own generally. But yeah, really enjoyed this. It's very much just a character development story. You're following her as she is navigating her life at this current period of time. There does happen to be 2 men who are very different from one another and meet her needs in different ways. And so not only is she trying to figure out her own life direction, but also these 2 kind of relationships on the side of everything going on. Yeah, really, really enjoyed it. This was my introduction into Lily King and her writing and just the way she crafts stories. And shortly thereafter, I read Father of the Rain, which is a little bit more of an emotional and heavy read. But yeah, I can't wait to read more from Lily King. But yeah, I remember just slowly getting into the story. And then before I knew it, I was halfway and just like so intrigued to see what was going to happen in our character's world and her mind. And it just slowly built into this very, I think, beautifully crafted story. It's a little bit quieter, but beautiful nonetheless, in my opinion. And then the other one that I have here is, woof, that is not good. Sorry, that probably hurt your eyes. Mame by Jessica George. I talked about this earlier this year. I read it this year. Also, the cover is very springy. Really loved it. Yes, it's emotionally impactful. You're following along with Maddie, sorry. Really bad with names. Nothing against the book at all. Following along with Maddie as she is navigating a new chapter in her life. She has a little bit of some newfound freedom. She's moved out on her own. Her father has advanced Parkinson's and she was his primary caregiver for quite a while. And her mother's moved back home, so is now looking after her father. And there's also a little bit of like a father-daughter relationship storyline within here, but really you follow along with Maddie's character as she develops. I think most character development stories tend to be a little bit of a slower build and ultimately end in, in hindsight and when you're reflecting back on the story, a very beautifully crafted story. I wouldn't say that there was any point where I didn't enjoy my reading experience with this. Same with Writers and Lovers. I enjoyed my reading experience with both of these books cover to cover, but definitely, like I said, as most character development stories go, it develops, right? And it takes time to develop. Hi. Say hi. And Eggs in a Basket, 3 books I want to read this spring. Some of them are new releases. Other ones I kind of stumbled upon recently through looking up some books on my library's website that I thought sounded really cool. One of those being Murder on Sex Island by Joe Firestone. Basically, a detective joins a reality TV show. It's her favorite reality TV show. I believe the TV show's name is Sex Island. And a murder happens on Sex Island, and she just investigates it. I think it sounds like a fun time. I don't really need to know much else. I'm like, what I'm picturing in my mind is like Love Island. Hot new bombshells enter the villa kind of a situation. So yeah, excited to read that. The other one is What Happens in Amsterdam by Rachel Lynn Solomon. If by this point I have put it out, it is my upcoming and recent release video. I will probably have already talked about this book in that video. However, if this goes out before that one, I'll briefly talk about it. We follow a main character who moves to Amsterdam, and also the cover is so springy. She moves to Amsterdam because her life is just kind of in shambles and is looking for a bit of a fresh start. She runs into, or quite literally crashes into, her high school ex-boyfriend. His name is Wouter, I believe. And Wouter is looking to inherit a family home, but he needs to be married in order to inherit that home. So I'm assuming they devise a plan. She also, side note, she needs to, or her visa is coming up in expiry or something like that. So I imagine that, yeah, the romance will just transpire from there. It sounds like a fun time in Amsterdam. I'm expecting tulip fields. I'm expecting fun time in Amsterdam, like, you know, the whole spring feeling. And the last one is Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young. This one, we are following a couple. It's another romance book, and I think it's like a second chance romance, but this couple has been together since high school. And obviously people grow, people change, and they're discovering that they're both are different people than when they got married when they were 19. To try to rekindle their relationship or kind of fix some of the problems that they're having, they opt to go on this grueling hiking trip that is designed for couples who need to come back together, who need to meet in the middle, who need to work to, I don't know, just not survive this hiking trip, but just like traverse the hiking trip, I suppose. And yeah, and it'll help them get through their rough patch. All right, this next one, Green Pastures, a classic that never gets old. I don't read a ton of classics, i.e. none, really. So I don't really know how to answer this, but I feel like if there was like a book that I returned to, I feel like this is pretty similar to the first prompt. It would just be like anything from Abby Jimenez. Yeah, sorry. Pollen, a book or author you're allergic to. Okay, last year I read The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston and didn't like it. I can understand why people loved it. For me, it was not a book for me. I felt like the book couldn't really decide what it wanted to be, whether a romance or kind of like have these life lessons like a Matt Haig book or whatever the case may be. It wasn't meant for me. And I do want to read, I mean, I say that very loosely, but I had Dead Romantics on my radar of things to read eventually, but The 7-Year Slip really makes me nervous to pick that up because I didn't enjoy The 7-Year Slip, and it was so hyped, as is the Dead Romantics. And so now I'm kind of like, do I want to read it? I don't know. All right, bonus, Equinox. Find 2 books on your shelf that have the exact same number of pages and briefly talk about them. So I kind of cheated with this a little bit, and oh, there's my cat. Also, sometimes, oops, sorry, sweetie. Sometimes I do my makeup in this room and have a mirror, but she was sunbathing. The sun was hitting her. Twyla. Oh, hello. Wanna say hi? But anyways, so I did find 2 books on my shelf that I think are like 1 page off of each other, But regardless, it is The Island by Adrienne McKinty and The Hike by Lucy Clark. Both of these I have not read. I hauled these in my haul video that I did a few months ago. I can go over what both of these are briefly about, though. Four friends hike out into the beautiful Norwegian wild, nothing between them and the mountain peak but forest, sea, and a sharp blue sky. But there's a darker side to the wilderness. A woman went missing here 1 year ago. Now the friends are hiking into the heart of the mystery, and waiting on the trail is someone who'd do anything to keep their secrets buried and to stop the group walking away alive. So I think it sounds really cool. What book did I read recently? It was called The Hike. I'll put a thing here, a screenshot here, what it was. And I really liked it. It was kind of like a survivalist thriller set in the woods. I very much enjoy going camping and hiking during the summertime. So it definitely, when they would talk about like certain camping things or hiking things, it was kind of like, oh, I like was able to follow along. But yeah, definitely intrigued to read this summer. So, and then the other one is The Island by Adrienne McKinty. So it's about this family that moves to this Australian island on a working trip, and the locals are tight-knit and they don't like them or aren't very welcoming to the family, and things go awry and the family has to escape. I don't really know much more about it. I don't need to know much more about it. But yeah, it's on my TBR. I think it's going to be very fast-paced and quite exciting, as most kind of outdoorsy thrillers are. So that is the Spring is in the Air book tag. Thank you very much for watching. I will tag a couple people down below. If I didn't tag you and you've watched this and you want to do it, feel free. If you have watched to this point, feel free to comment a little tulip or a flower, your favorite flower emoji down below. But thank you again so much for watching. I'll take a couple people to do this as well. And I hope you're enjoying what you're reading and enjoying some sunshine wherever you are. And I'll see you in the next video.